In every era, no matter how advanced, a rare kind of individual emerges, someone who sees through the surface of things. The thinkers, the questioners, the misfits. These aren't just smart people, they are dangerous minds. Dangerous because they refuse to accept things as they are. They challenge the norms, question authority, and see what others refuse to see. But instead of being embraced, they're pushed to the margins. They are ridiculed, misunderstood, even feared. Society, for all its talk of progress, is terrified of those who think differently. But why? What is it about raw intelligence, not academic achievement, not degrees, but real, unsettling insight that makes people uncomfortable? To answer that, we must step into the bleak but brilliant mind of Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher who saw life not as a gift, but a struggle. A man who believed that intelligence doesn't bring happiness, it brings alienation. In this video, we'll explore why the truly intelligent are not crowned with glory, but silently exiled, because society doesn't want them, it needs them, but only at a distance. Arthur Schopenhauer, a name you probably won't see on motivational posters. He wasn't interested in making people feel good. He didn't believe life was a gift. In fact, he believed the opposite, that life at its core is suffering. Schopenhauer was a 19th century German philosopher, often labeled a pessimist, but not because he was negative. He was honest, brutally honest. He believed that human existence is governed by a dark, unconscious force he called the will, an insatiable, irrational drive that compels us to want, to desire, to chase, even when we don't know why. According to Schopenhauer, this will never stops. It pushes us to seek things we believe will bring us happiness, money, status, love. But once we get them, we feel empty again. We move on to the next want, and then the next. It's an endless loop of longing, followed by disappointment. That's what he saw as the true nature of life. He didn't write for applause. He wrote for the few who could handle the truth without blinking. And what he discovered was this. When someone is intelligent, truly intelligent, they see through the illusions that keep most people content. They recognize the futility, the suffering, the lies we tell ourselves just to get through the day. And here's the part that society doesn't want to hear. Intelligence in that raw, uncompromising form is dangerous because it exposes the machinery behind the curtain. It questions the whole play while everyone else is still clapping. To most, intelligence isn't a virtue. It's unsettling. It threatens the fragile illusions that hold society together, and that's exactly what Schopenhauer saw. He saw it, and he wrote it down unflinching for those brave or broken enough to read it. 1. Society rewards conformity, not insight. Schopenhauer saw what few dared to admit. Society is not built on truth. It is built on illusion. The illusion that success brings happiness, that material wealth equals fulfillment, that fame is meaning, that love always heals. These ideas aren't truths, they are stories. Narratives we cling to because the alternative, the raw, meaningless chaos of existence, is too much for most to bear. Most people don't want to know the truth. They want comfort, predictability, a reason to wake up in the morning. They want to believe that if they follow the rules, study hard, get a job, find a partner, buy a house, everything will make sense, that they'll be happy. But this is exactly the illusion Schopenhauer was warning us about. He argued that we are not rational beings, but slaves to the will, that endless desire that pushes us to want more, be more, achieve more. And yet, the more we chase, the more we suffer. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place. The treadmill never stops. This is the foundation of modern society. Keep chasing, keep consuming, keep pretending you're satisfied. Now here's where intelligence becomes a problem, a threat. True intelligence doesn't mean having a high IQ or memorizing facts. It means seeing through the lies. It means recognizing that status is hollow, that luxury is fleeting, that most social rituals are just performances. It means understanding that much of what society celebrates is actually a distraction from deeper existential truths. The intelligent person sees this and stops playing the game. They withdraw, they question, they refuse to follow blindly. And in doing so, they unsettle those around them. Because when you stop clapping for the show, others start wondering why. That's dangerous. And so, instead of rewarding insight, society rewards conformity. It uplifts those who repeat the script, not those who rewrite it. It promotes obedience, not originality. You're praised for fitting in, not for thinking too much. Schopenhauer believed that this tension between the intelligent individual and the collective illusion creates isolation. The more you see, the more you suffer. Not because you're wrong, but because you're alone. 2. The lonely road of the thinker. To think deeply is to alienate oneself. This wasn't just an observation for Schopenhauer. It was his reality. He wasn't lonely because he failed socially. He was lonely because society couldn't meet him where he was, mentally, emotionally, philosophically. When someone begins to think, really think, they often find themselves drifting away from the crowd. Not because they want to be special, but because the conversations feel shallow, the rituals feel repetitive, the social expectations feel performative. There is a subtle but powerful disconnect, and over time it grows. Schopenhauer believed that intelligent people do not suffer from a lack of talent or skill. They suffer from a lack of understanding, a lack of intellectual companionship. While the majority are satisfied discussing trends, gossip, or ambition, the thinker is silently asking, what's the point of all this? What is the meaning beneath the surface? And that question, that silent, burning question, becomes a wall. You see, society is not built for self-reflection. It's built for cooperation, production, repetition. When someone doesn't chase what others chase, they're seen as strange. When someone doesn't seek praise, validation, or status, they're called arrogant, or broken, or cold. Schopenhauer wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." Think about that. In a world constantly connected, constantly speaking, constantly watching, what does it mean to truly be yourself? According to Schopenhauer, it means stepping away. It means embracing solitude, not as a punishment, but as a sanctuary. Because the thinker doesn't belong to a crowd, the thinker observes the crowd, and the more one observes, the harder it becomes to belong. The deeper the thought, the greater the distance. That's the irony of intelligence. It illuminates the mind, but isolates the heart. Schopenhauer understood this loneliness deeply. He believed that intelligent individuals are rarely understood in their own time, often misjudged, often mocked, often ignored. Not because they're wrong, but because they threaten the rhythm of the social world. And so the road of the thinker is rarely crowded. It is a quiet path, sometimes noble, often painful, walked not in search of applause, but in search of truth. The kind of truth that only silence can reveal. 3. Intelligence as rebellion. What if the most dangerous form of rebellion isn't loud? What if it's quiet, internal, hidden behind still eyes and long silences? Schopenhauer believed that true intelligence, the kind that doesn't seek validation or reward, is in itself a rebellion. Because true intelligence doesn't stop at answers. It keeps digging, keeps questioning. It asks, why do we believe what we believe? Who benefits from the way the world is structured? Why do we call some things sacred and others sinful? Why do we chase happiness And does it ever truly last? It questions morality, not by being immoral, but by asking, is this right because it's right or because someone told me so? It questions religion, not to mock, but to explore whether our beliefs are rooted in truth or in fear. It questions power, not just who has it, but why they hold it and what we sacrifice to keep it that way. This is rebellion, not with fire, not with flags, but with thought. And society fears this, not because it's violent, but because it's contagious. Because once a person starts thinking deeply, the system that relies on blind participation begins to weaken. Schopenhauer saw that intelligence, when paired with honesty, often leads not to joy, but to clarity. And clarity reveals something terrifying, that much of what we do is driven by illusion, that we chase things not because they fulfill us, but because we've been told they should. We pursue careers that don't align with our nature. We stay in relationships because they look good on the outside. We collect things we don't need, say things we don't mean, and play roles we don't believe in, all for the sake of being normal. But the intelligent person steps outside of that theater. They stop performing. And what happens when someone stops pretending? They become a threat. Not because they incite revolution, but because they embody it. Because their very existence is a reminder that another way of being is possible. And nothing scares a controlled society more than that. Schopenhauer's wisdom did not lead him to joy. It led him to see the world as it is, full of suffering, distraction, and delusion. Not because he was bitter, but because he refused to look away. And most people simply can't bear that level of honesty. 4. The mask of mediocrity. Imagine a man in a crowd, laughing, nodding, smiling at the right times, appearing to fit in. But inside he is miles away. He hears the words, but they pass through him. He watches the rituals of daily life, the office chatter, the social gatherings, the pursuit of titles and likes and applause, and feels like he's living in a play where everyone else has memorized the script, except him. This is the silent reality of many intelligent people. They wear a mask, not out of deception but out of necessity. Because to be fully authentic in a world built on appearances is to invite exile. And so they mimic. They pretend to care about small talk. They smile through conversations that bore them. They nod at ideas they know are hollow, not because they are weak, but because they've learned that society does not reward depth. It punishes it. Schopenhauer wrote, "The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him." This sentence is a key. The less a person thinks, the more obvious and straightforward life appears. Wake up, work, consume, sleep, repeat. They don't question why, because the illusion works for them. It keeps them comfortable. The thinker, however, sees the cracks. They feel the weight of the unanswered questions. To the intelligent, existence is not a clear map. It's a labyrinth. The more they learn, the more they realize how little is known. Every answer opens a new void. Every truth is shadowed by uncertainty. This awareness doesn't lead to pride. It leads to quiet suffering. But society doesn't want that kind of awareness. It wants enthusiasm, optimism, simplicity. It wants people who can play the game. And so the intelligent person learns to hide, to play along. They wear the mask of mediocrity, a disguise crafted not out of shame, but out of strategy. Inside, they are observers, watching, processing, seeing things most people ignore. And often they feel like strangers in their own culture. They don't hate people, but they find it hard to connect. They feel alien not because they look different, but because they see differently. Schopenhauer believed that suffering intensifies with intelligence because you're awake. You see through lies, through distractions, through games. You can no longer believe just because it's easier. and that kind of clarity, while powerful, is isolating. And so, many intelligent people live double lives, outwardly functional, inwardly fragmented. To survive, they master the art of blending in, but deep down they long, not for more knowledge, but for connection, for a moment of honesty, for someone to say, yes, I see it too. 5. Why we still need the thinkers. They walk alone, they question everything, they often suffer in silence, and yet we need them. The thinkers, the outliers, the ones who refuse to look away. Society may fear them, may mock them, may isolate them. But when history turns, it's their words that remain. Arthur Schopenhauer, a man misunderstood in his time, left behind truths that pierced the heart of existence. His insights outlived kings and revolutions. Empires rose and fell while his philosophy quietly endured. He didn't build cities, but he built frameworks of thought that shook the foundations of belief. This is the paradox. Society fears what it needs most. It needs comfort to survive, but truth to evolve. And truth, real truth, is rarely comfortable. It stings. It strips away illusion. It makes us question the very things we build our lives upon. That is the role of the thinker, not to please, but to provoke. Not to reinforce what is, but to reveal what could be. They don't offer easy answers. They offer better questions. And it is those questions that push humanity forward. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat life. He exposed its machinery, the constant pull of desire, the pain of longing, the emptiness behind fulfillment. And yet, by doing so, he gave people something far more valuable than comfort: clarity. The thinkers hold a mirror to society, and what we see there is not always flattering, but it's necessary, because without reflection there can be no progress. Without discomfort, there can be no transformation. So yes, the intelligent, the philosophical, the painfully aware, they may scare society. They may walk alone. They may speak truths others are too afraid to hear. But it is because of that courage, that clarity, that confrontation, that we grow. They are not the heroes on the posters. They are not the ones with applause. But in the silence of their exile, they plant seeds. Seeds that may take generations to grow. Seeds of rebellion, of reason, of real awakening. And maybe, just maybe, that is worth the loneliness. That is worth the exile. Because even if society doesn't understand them, it needs them, now more than ever. So, why do intelligent people scare society? Because they see too much. They see the cracks in the system, the emptiness in ambition, the absurdity in routine. They look beyond the surface, and they don't look away. They question too deeply, not just what is, but why it is. They dismantle the myths that hold the world together, not to destroy, but to understand. And in doing so, they make others uncomfortable. They refuse to play a game they know is rigged, the game of pretending, performing, conforming. And society, which thrives on that game, labels them as dangerous. Not because they break the rules, but because they see through them. Schopenhauer didn't offer comfort. He wasn't trying to inspire false hope. He offered something far more powerful: clarity. A rare, piercing clarity that reveals not just the world's lies, but our own. And in a world drowning in noise, in distractions, in artificial meaning, clarity is terrifying. It strips everything down. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what we need. So, if this resonated with you, if you've ever sat in a room full of people and felt like a ghost, if you've ever wondered why the things that excite others leave you cold, if you've ever felt like the quiet rebel in a world of loud pretenders, know this: you are not alone, you are not broken, you are necessary. This was Sudtant, diving deep into the minds that shape our reality. If you're not afraid of uncomfortable truths, if you crave the kind of depth that most people avoid, then hit that subscribe button. Because here we don't run from the dark, we explore it. And until next time, keep thinking, even if it hurts.